Hey guys, and welcome back. It's round 2 today of the 1994 Custom F1 season. We're missing the Pacific Grand Prix, as you'll find out right now in the news.
It's time once again for Custom F1 Weekly with your host, Josh Kassar. The planned Pacific Grand Prix has been delayed until a later date due to issues with the track surface breaking up. This decision was taken extremely late, and the initial track inspection found that the circuit requires a full resurfacing before Formula 1 can head to the TI Circuit AIDA for the first time. Now this means that we move straight on to Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix. And in the build-up, Michael Schumacher has expressed the importance of reliability this week. The German feels that where the Benetton lacks in overall speed, it can make up for with consistency in finishing races. Schumacher retired from the opening race of the season due to gearbox issues. And that's all from me this week. Until next time.
So as you've just heard, the Pacific Grand Prix is gone until later on in the season if they can sort out the issues with the surface of the track. But you join me at the San Marino Grand Prix in qualifying, and we've got a big announcement today. If you head to my Discord, there'll be a channel where you can vote for the upgrades on the car. We've got two available upgrades. Either we go for increased reliability, which will take a few races to complete at a smaller cost, or we go for increased performance. I suggest watching till the end of the video first before making your decision, and then head over to Discord and vote. Qualifying was wet for the most part. It started drying off, and I did have maybe 4 flying laps, but my fastest one was actually the first one, which you're watching on board now. I did have a crash on my second one, which you'll see later on as well. But Michael Schumacher on provisional pole at the moment of 126.3, and how desperate is Schumacher to get a result today. The opening race at Brazil he failed to finish, which means he's already 10 points behind Ayrton Senna, who's surely going to be his biggest rival this season. So Schumacher really needs to get a move on, and hopefully the Benetton is reliable. He's been speaking in the news this week about the need for reliability if he wants to challenge the Williams drivers, Senna and Hill, for the championship. It's mainly going to be Senna, but as we're approaching the final chicane on my lap, the start finish line is slightly further down compared to what it is in modern times at this track. As we go across the line, it's a 129.582. It's good enough for 22nd place. And this here is my crash on the following lap, which limited my running in qualifying, but I just lost grip into the wall, lost the front wing. And, well, 22nd place at the moment, but where are we on the starting grid? Here is the starting grid for the San Marino Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher claims pole position ahead of the 2 Ferraris. Berger ahead of a lazy Verstappen. Michael Schumacher's teammate almost 4 tenths down in 4th place. Then we have the 2 McLarens of Hakkinen and Brundle. Then the 2 Tyrrells of Blundell and Katayama. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, after scoring some good points on his first race out in Brazil, qualifies in 9th place with Panis rounding out the top 10. De Cesaris starting from 11th. The lead Lotus of Herbert sets off from 12th. Bernard in 13th in the second Ligier, sandwiched between the 2 Lotuses, with the second Lotus of Alessandro Zanardi in 14th place. Eddie Irvine and Rubens Barrichello on the 8th row of the grid for Jordan, with Footwork occupying the 9th row. Fittipaldi and Morbidelli 17th and 18th place. Damon Hill in the lead Williams, 2 seconds off. Both Williams suffering in qualifying, only managing to put in 1 lap at the start of the session when the track conditions were damp, both suffering issues with their engine. Michele Alboreto rounding out the top 20 with his teammate Martini in 21st. Then we have the 2 LaRousse cars of Comas and Beretta. Then we have the 2 Streamline cars, both ahead of the Simtex, Salo and Mahendra, but only just. Look how close those times are. Roland Ratzenberger in 26th, Brabham in 27th, and championship leader Ayrton Senna 28th and last place. The circuit we're at today is the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, located in Italy, but it is the San Marino Grand Prix. It's a 5 kilometre circuit featuring 19 corners. There'll be 58 laps today, and the conditions currently at the start of the race are dry, and they're projected to stay dry for the remainder of the race. Both of our drivers going for a two-stop strategy. Salo is going to lap 19 before his first stop, and then pitting on lap 37 for his second. And Mahendra, a slightly shorter first stint, carrying a lighter fuel load. He's pitting on lap 15, but then quite a long second stint, going all the way to lap 38 before pitting for his second and final time. The big question going into this: can Williams recover from their terrible qualifying performance? Can they score some points and keep the battle going between them and their rivals? Benetton yet to score a point this season as well, so they really need to get off the mark, and Ferrari sitting pretty in second and third place. Well, there's only one thing left to do, and that's go racing. The 1994 San Marino Grand Prix is next. And here we are on the grid. 3 lights, 4 lights and 5. The 1994 San Marino Grand Prix is underway. The two LaRouche drivers in front of us, and we actually get a good start. And we're going to go round the outside of Beretta, but look on the inside. Kyle Mahendra up the inside of Beretta already, and he's challenging Beretta's teammate Eric Comas as we go through the flat left-hander of Tamburello for the first time. We've lost out there, and you'll see once again I've gone slightly too slow on the setup, well, setup wise of the straight. I'm losing lots of time on the straight to the drivers around us. We give Ratzenberger a little tap there, and Senna up the inside of so many drivers. I think he's made contact there with Mahendra, but he's already up to 23rd, so he's already gained 5 positions, as Beretta's up the inside of me there, the LaRouche driver getting back past me, and I'm in 26th. I'm ahead of both the Simtex, which for Streamline is our aim. We need to finish ahead of both the Simtex Brabham and Ratzenberger, making up the back of the grid at the moment as we're about halfway through this first lap. This chicane down here, of course, is completely different to what it is in modern times. A very, very slow, clumsy corner. I quite like it. But now we're on the back of Mahendra. Mahendra, as we know, is much better than Salo. Mahendra's an 85 rated driver. Salo, I think, is only about 74 rated driver. So we're not expected to, well, keep with him or stay with him for the whole race distance, but maybe he can pull us ahead, well, keep us in contact with the drivers ahead of him. I'm just really interested to see what Hill and Senna can do. They had absolutely terrible qualifying sessions. They both suffered issues with their engine, which meant they couldn't do more than the first flying lap. How is it going to hinder their performance in the race? Well, we know reliability is a big issue in seasons like 1994, so we're going to expect quite a few retirements, and maybe that can help the Williams drivers climb up into the points by the end of the race. This is the start from the leader's perspective. Michael Schumacher off the start line gets a great start. The two Ferraris of Alesi and Berger are battling away for second place as we head round Tamburello for the first time in this race. Schumacher in the Benetton has the lead. The two Ferraris behind. Alesi, or Berger's ahead of Alesi now as they head down towards Tosa for the first time. I think that's the name of this chicane. And Verstappen looking on the inside there of Alesi, trying to take the position away, but I think Alesi will hold that position. I think Alesi is actually on a 3-stop strategy today, so he's definitely going to have the pace over his teammate for the majority, but of course he has to make that one extra pit stop. Lap 2, and Hakkinen is the first retirement of the race with a massive brake failure heading into Tosa. He's out. I'm now all over the back of Beretta. I know I don't have the straight line speed. I'm going to definitely fix that for the next race. But through these corners, we're so much quicker than the LaRouche driver. We pull side by side, and the acceleration up to at least 240 kilometers an hour is better than Beretta. And we're going to use that. We move in front of him to block out the line off, and we've actually taken that position away. Seems to be a few issues with the recording there. I don't know why it froze. Hopefully it doesn't continue to do that, because I'm only checking this part of the recording whilst editing the video. But hopefully that's not a recurring thing. Sadly for Eric Comas and LaRouche, it all goes wrong. The battle between Martini and one of the footworks ahead meant Martini slowed down, and then Martini's teammate Alboreto straight into the back of Comas, knocking off his rear wing, and of course resulting in a retirement. After overtaking Beretta successfully on the end of the last chicane, I'm going to try the same thing on Mahendra. We've got really good pace at the moment as we're about to start lap 9. I do that same move that I did on Beretta a few laps earlier on my own teammate Mahendra, and we've just about got the acceleration to cut that off and make sure he can't go back up the inside of me. He's going to slipstream me, but hopefully we'll keep that position. I think we will do. Now I'm working on catching Martini. He seems to be on a one-stop strategy, so surely we have the pace over him. As we start lap 9, the engine's gone. We've only completed 9 laps and the engine is gone in our streamline. Disaster strikes. Oh dear. We retired from the first race due to my own fault. This time we've retired due to the engine's fault. We are out. Heading on to lap 12, Mahendra has a run here on the Minardi of Martini, up the inside into Tamburello, the slipstream working well there, and the streamline moves up a position. Lap 12 and Johnny Herbert's race is over, as we see here a humongous crash, which may result in serious injury and Herbert being sidelined for multiple races. We'll have to wait for the statement from the team regarding that, but that's a big crash. It's lap 13 and Lazy and Berger right behind Schumacher. Schumacher not able to pull a gap back to the Ferraris. I don't know if it's home field advantage or anything, but we're going to see a Lazy go into the pits on this lap. As I said earlier, he is on a 3-stop strategy. Will it work out for him? Barrichello suffering some sort of gearbox issue and he gets caught out here by the Minardi straight into the back of him. And Barrichello is definitely out of this race as he rejoins the track. Mahendra running a solid race now, but look at that, that's Barrichello rejoining the track and contact between Mahendra and Barrichello. How has Kaya Mahendra got away with minimal damage? He's going to rejoin the track, but he's of course lost a few seconds and I think about 4 positions. But thankfully Mahendra, the sole streamline left in this race, is able to carry on, and look at that. Barrichello with no rear wing, just rejoining the track. It was very, very dangerous from Rubens Barrichello, but Mahendra carries on. It is now lap 15. As you can see, Senna's engine is starting to smoke, so he is definitely going to retire from this race, and he only managed to make it up to 15th place. He was on for possibly a good result if he could continue this recovery during the race, but he's going to retire. Other notable positions, Blundell up in 5th place with his teammate Katayama up in 9th, so Tyrrell could be on for a good result today. And as scheduled on the end of lap 15, Mahendra is into the pits for his first out of 2 scheduled stops. It's disaster for Senna and Williams. Engine failure is going to see him retire from this race. He made his way up to about 15th place before this, and surely he was on for a good result if he could make his way through the traffic, but he's out. The championship leader, the first race winner, is out of this race. Both Minardis having a rollercoaster of a race, and it comes to an end on lap 18 for Pierluigi Martini. Brake failure sees him spin out of the San Marino Grand Prix. It's lap 20 and Michael Schumacher in for his first pit stop. I think he's on a 2-stop strategy, and it seems the way to go, as this will mean that Gerhard Berger moves into the race lead. So the Ferrari leads at their home Grand Prix, well, their second home Grand Prix in the season. Of course, they'll be at Monza later on in the year. But Michael Schumacher is going to rejoin here. And where is he going to rejoin? Just behind his teammate Verstappen. Verstappen moves into second. Alesi is about a second further back. Just on the same lap, Verstappen and Schumacher battling away, and Schumacher streams past. I assume that was a manufactured move from the Benetton team. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. Damon Hill, lap 22, he's retiring as well. Gearbox issues. It means it's a double Williams retirement, and we're not even halfway through this race. I said it was Mahendra versus Martini earlier. I think it was actually Alboreto. And this is round 2 of the battle between Mahendra and Alboreto in the Minardi, which I've got to say is one of the best liveries I think I've ever seen. It's very unique, and I really do like the colour scheme. But Mahendra all over the back here of the Minardi, who is, as we believe, is on a 1-stop strategy. So that will explain the pace difference. And down the main straight where Mahendra did pass the Minardi earlier on in the race, I think he's going to try for the exact same move with the slipstream up the inside through Tamburello and takes that position away. Lap 23, and Bernard's race has been ran. He's suffering gearbox issues, as you can hear on board, and the Ligier driver retires from the San Marino Grand Prix. It seems Berger's on a 1-stop, and Schumacher on a 2-stop has already closed the gap to him. It's lap 25, and this is the battle for the race lead. Schumacher goes for a dive up the inside for this left-hander. Berger forced wide by Schumacher, and now Schumacher switches to the inside for the chicane at the bottom of the hill. Little bit of contact. The Benetton's got the inside line and surely he's going to take this lead, and he does so. Schumacher back in the lead of the San Marino Grand Prix. Not only has it been a double Williams retirement, it's now a double McLaren retirement as Martin Brundle's brakes fail as he exits the final chicane. He is now another retirement of the San Marino Grand Prix. We're about halfway through the race so far. Michael Schumacher leads, Berger and Alesi second and third, with Schumacher's teammate Verstappen down in fourth. Panis up into the points as well. So we ride on board, well, not really on board, but we're looking at Beretta here, who's up to 14th place. The LaRouche driver doing quite well. Kaya Mahendra up in 15th place as well. He's doing a stellar job in the streamline today. Just over half race distance, and race leader Michael Schumacher in for his second and final stop in this race. Here we see Panis on lap 32, who also suffers a big crash. Look at this. Suspension failure straight into the wall. He is another retirement. That means Ligier, McLaren and Williams all suffering double retirements in this race. It's lap 38 and Mahendra in for his second stop, and he's into the pits alongside the Simtek of David Brabham. Both drivers stopping on their marks at pretty much the exact same time, and of course it is Streamline versus Simtek, which will be a battle that rages on for the rest of the season. Mahendra rejoins quite a way clear of the Simtek of Brabham. We are now at 3/4 race distance. Schumacher still leads, Berger and Alesi and Verstappen second, third and fourth. Blundell up in fifth, and his teammate Katayama up to seventh now. So Panis, the one separating the Tyrrell team from a double points finish. Eddie Irvine down in 9th place. Frentzen still holding on there in 10th at the moment. Both Simtex into the top 20 as well, and one streamline left in this race. Frentzen was running another solid race in the top 10, but that's all come undone. At the same corner that we just saw a retirement from Panis, a suspension failure again, but Frentzen is out of this race. And the retirements don't end there. Eddie Irvine in the Jordan is another retirement. Of course, his teammate Barrichello went out earlier, and Eddie Irvine's crash there is an absolutely humongous one. Once again, that might be another driver who suffers some injuries because of the crash. This is the battle for 13th place, and look at that, Beretta, engine failure is going to see him retire from this race. We'll see that with him in a second, but that means Mahendra moves up into 13th. And here we see the retirement from Beretta's point of view. The engine failure. The engine went as soon as Mahendra passed him, and he's out of this race, retiring on the inside of Tamburello. Very dangerous place to pull over, but he's out of this race. We may be seeing a future champion in the making with Mahendra. I think he's just got a position there on the Minardi, who's letting lapped drivers through, and Mahendra takes advantage of that and moves up into 12th place. He's going to pull the exact same move here. The Ferrari is lapping the Simtek of Ratzenberger, and Mahendra uses that to his advantage and moves up into 11th. Mahendra is now in 11th place with only about 10 laps to go. The Minardis have certainly been in the wars today, and Alboreto holding off the two Simteks, prying over, I think, 12th place, but it's all come undone. Alboreto's engine has gone on the 56th out of 58 laps of this race. Earlier on in this race, I thought the Ferraris could have challenged Michael Schumacher for this race victory, but Schumacher, in a dominant performance, is going to come across the line to win the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix and go level with the two Ferraris and Senna in first place in the championship. And here we have the full race results. Michael Schumacher setting the fastest lap as well as winning the race. The fastest lap was a 1:26.992. Gerhard Berger and John Alesi finishing very, very close together. Alesi's three-stop strategy almost paying off, but not quite. Jos Verstappen picking up his first points in Formula 1 in 4th place, and Tyrrell scoring a double points finish. Mark Blundell in 5th, the last driver on the lead lap, and Uko Katayama in 6th. Zanardi in the Lotus actually almost picking up a point. Of course, we know the Lotus car is a very, very poor car this year, so they need all the points they can get. De Cesaris in 8th, and then the two footworks, surprisingly, Morbidelli and Fittipaldi rounding out the top 10. Kaya Mahendra put in a stellar performance yet again. Of course, he retired from the first race, but he was on for a good result there. He's actually got his good result here. 11th place ahead of the two Simteks, crucially, which moves Streamline ahead of Simtek in the championship. Roland Ratzenberger ahead of Brabham at the finish. 13 drivers finishing this race. Alboreto, of course, retired with a couple of laps to go, and the whole bottom half of the field retired from this race. It's only been 2 races in this season, and look at the Drivers' Championship standings, because Senna and Schumacher have both suffered retirements, and Alesi and Berger have been very consistent, finishing on the podium in back-to-back races. It's tied for the championship. The top 4 are tied. Senna leads as he claimed that first victory before Schumacher. Schumacher in second. Alesi and Berger have both had a second and third position respectively. Brundle's 4th place in that opening race means he's still in 5th ahead of Verstappen, who's got an equal result but of course picked up that points position later on in the season. Bernard, Blundell, Frentzen and Katayama, the remaining drivers who have scored points this season. That's just over a third of the drivers, a third of the grid have scored points during the opening 2 races. Now, I don't think this form will continue for Ferrari, 2 races down into this season, but right now they are leading the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari, 20 points. Benetton is second with 13 points, all those points coming at this Grand Prix. Williams in third, with all their points coming courtesy of Ayrton Senna. McLaren and Tyrrell tied for 4th place. Ligier and Sauber battling over 6th. Of course, this will look completely different by the end of the season, but right now, Streamline are up in 12th place ahead of their rivals Simtek. Larousse have had a disappointing start to the season with retirements so far, so surely they'll climb up above Streamline and Simtek, you'd expect so. And Footwork's great result today sees them in 11th place. Now for everybody's favourite segment, it's the feeder series. Formula 3000 got underway this weekend at Silverstone, and here are the results. Zomba Reith actually scoring a really good podium there, second, so he's second in the championship as well, and quite a few of these drivers scoring points positions and top 10s. Cornel Katai and John Cox are not really there on pace, but maybe, well, we don't really know what happened in the race, so disappointing result for both of them. Because we didn't have the Pacific Grand Prix, there's been quite a few races in the feeder series. German Formula 3 and British Formula 3 going through quite a few races. There's the key at the bottom if you want to know what each letter stands for. Sharma scoring some decent results at Zolder. It seems Jean-Luc Lacroix scoring some good results as well as Josh Cassar, the One Streamline Academy driver. He's scored a few points there in British Formula 3. Moving on to Italian Formula 3, Vronsky and Sartori. Vronsky's got, well, look at that. His results at Vallelunga, 1st and 3rd, and then a really poor result at Misano. But he's definitely going to be battling for the championship in Formula 3. As we go down even further, Japanese Formula 3 and Adam Archer finishing 6th in Suzuka. Formula 3 South America with Miko Mieto 6th in Curitiba. And French Formula 3, Gael Campos finishing 12th at the circuit Paul Armagnac. I assume that's how you pronounce it, I have absolutely no idea. Down to the 4th tier and British Formula Ford, we have quite a few youth drivers taking part in Formula Ford. There's been 2 race weekends and 4 races taking part in the time between last week's race and this week's race. So they've been racing at Alton Park and Thruxton. No really standout performances there. Steverlink picking up a 6th place at Thruxton, but that's about it. And finally, Australian Formula Ford. And once again, not too many standout performances. It's a very short championship, Australian Formula Ford, so by maybe the 6th or 7th Formula 1 race, this series will be over. And that'll be the end of those drivers' seasons, pretty much. So they might be moving into a different series for next year, but they won't be appearing on the Australian Formula Ford grid for the rest of the season after, of course, I think there's 8 races in this series. But once again, no standout performances. Valdinger picking up an 8th place at Lakeside seems to be the standout performance there. And that's it, guys, for today and today's race. Make sure to join the Discord. Go to the Discord channel, which will be called something to do with CustomF1 upgrades. You'll find it, there's not that many channels. And vote for the upgrade you want to see. There'll be information on the upgrades on the Discord channel. The next race is the Monaco Grand Prix. Hopefully we manage to finish this one. It's going to be one hell of a race. It's going to be full of incidents. You can already guarantee that. Hopefully everything runs smoothly and we get quite a few drivers finishing the race. It's been another fantastic race overall, not including my own performance with Mika Salo, but the race overall has been quite entertaining. Hopefully we get more of the same next week. Thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like and a comment down below. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.